So DOGE has published what it calls its wall of receipts. It's a live list of government contracts it has canceled. It says, quote, "Let's balance the budget. DOGE's total estimated savings are $55 billion. That sounds like a lot of savings for 1 month.
On a closer look, almost half of the line item savings could be attributed to a single $8 billion contract. But if you look even closer, the federal database, it shows that the contract was actually for $8 million, not billion. This was revealed by the New York Times Upshot column by examining past versions of the contract on the federal procurement data system.
The DOGE website initially included a screenshot from the federal contracting database showing that the contract's value was $8 million, even as the DOGE site listed $8 billion in savings.
Here is a copy of the website. From last night, it still says $8 billion.
This morning, DOGE has updated its list to show $8 million in savings, though it did not acknowledge the error or explain how it might affect its calculation of total money saved, which remains unchanged. And I already did my Dr. Evil impression today, so I will not bring it out here. Now, in fairness, Elon Musk did say this at the press conference last week. Let's watch.
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes.
This still begs the question about several questions about DOGE. It's bookkeeping and transparency. Don't you think, Robby?
Sure. I've made this mistake before. You hate to make the
million
how many
mistake?
zero? Well, decimal places, zeros. It's all. I'm not a math guy. It's tough out there. What can I say? It's
I
tough.
mean, this is very problematic, right? I mean, we were having that discussion
Well,
earlier.
he's just saying how much money they thought they saved, and they were off, and they fixed it.
They were bragging about how much money they thought they saved.
I wish they had saved
incorrect
$8 billion.
by
It was only $8
many,
million.
many factors.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you take a look at that $8 million contract, it's still overstating what they're saying they saved, right? Because some portion of it had already been paid out, I think somewhere around $2.5 million. So what we know to be true is that they are overstating their impact. They're doing it for optics reasons. And what this contributes to, in my opinion, is an erosion of faith in government, which we know has been happening for a very long time.
Fine, Lynda. You've sold me. My hunger to eliminate government spending is not at all satisfied by these meager cuts.
You need more bees.
I want more cuts, as Kevin O'Leary said yesterday. I think we reacted to that clip, did we not? No, that was on a different show I did. Never mind. There was a great clip of Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank on CNN recently. And they asked him, like, what do you think about these DOGE cuts? And he says, more. I want more DOGE cuts. Put me in that category.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that you sit in that particular seat, Robby. I mean, look, it's really the same point over and over again, which is I don't think the issue is about looking for places where we can be more efficient, looking for places where we can save money for the American people. It's what are we doing and how are we doing it? And importantly, who's doing it?
Yes.
Right?
Why is Congress doing nothing about it? A point I've made many times in recent days that the kind of expertise and precision for growing or shrinking the government rests with a lot of legislators and their staff who seem to have no interest in acting in this unique moment, this small window MAGA has, conservatives have, Trump have, to wholly reshape the federal government. They have a mandate to do it. Donald Trump has huge approval ratings, the best approval ratings he's had since he appeared on.
Yeah, but the best is still under 50%. Let's just
it's
be
like
clear.
47%.
He's
I
still underwater.
think it was 54 in the latest poll I
That's
saw.
a low bar.
He's more popular than he's ever been. We're a very polarized nation. It's hard to be above 50 at all. He won the popular vote for the first time for a Republican president since George Bush's reelection. He has a moment to act, and Elon is doing a lot of things that could be, identifying things, and then those things could be used by Congress to craft laws that reduce USAID's budget or reduce the number of employees in the federal workforce or restructure some of these agencies, make intelligence is only going to be under this purview. Safety is going to be under this purview. You can act because you control Congress. And then if Democrats get in your way, if they stop you, if they filibuster things, then you can say, well, look, we're trying to, then you can point to Democrats as the obstacle to implementing the agenda the American people voted on. But if you don't even try, you don't give them the opportunity to even object to it, then I don't see why you would do that. So I hope Congress acts.
Well, I mean, I think what we're seeing right now is this incredible reshaping of where the Republican Party stands. I think the reason why members of Congress haven't taken action previously on USAID is because there was broad bipartisan support for the agency, including many prominent Republicans, right?
Marco Rubio.
The case is clearly true when it comes to the Department of Defense. And the thing I'm watching with members of Congress is how will they actually react when these cuts and the slashing of budgets and the slashing of programs actually impact their constituents in their home districts. I mean, the first shoe to drop, I think, is really going to be on the federal civilian workforce that's been cut. Because as you know, 80% of them don't live in DC. They are in these people's districts. And so when they start to hear and feel the backlash, then I think that's when you'll see Congress act. There's that whole saying, when you feel the heat, you see the light.
Well, there is a danger, I guess, that causes them to not act or to not make these cuts that I want them to make. You're right that for a long time, elected Republican leaders' priorities were, I would say, very, very out of step with their own voters, their primary voters, who wanted massive cuts to government, who did not agree on foreign policy whatsoever with the completely bipartisan foreign policy approach. Yes, Marco Rubio 2 years ago wanted more spending, more funding for USAID. Now he's the Secretary of State.
For Ukraine.
And for Ukraine, but that's not Trump's policy. That's not the policy of MAGA, and so he has fallen in line.
Right.
I suspect many other Republicans will do so as well. Trump has won this battle. It is his party. His party is a party that is skeptical of foreign aid, of allies taking advantage of the U.S. in exchange for nothing on our part. He wants to move past the neoconservatism of the Bush years. There was a reluctance to do that among elected Republicans. But if you still want to do that, I'm sorry, the Democratic Party is the party for you. It's the party for the Cheney family. It's the party for Adam Kinzinger. It's the party for the Bulwark and the Dispatch, the Bill Kristol, the last remnants of neoconservatism. They belong in the Democratic Party, not the Republican Party. So these elected Republicans are going to find out that what their members, what their supporters, what their people want is what Trump says. In terms of foreign
I hear
policy.
absolutely what you're saying. I'm just not convinced that any of that is going to outweigh the continued rise in the price of groceries, the kinds of things that we've talked about before that are really hitting people's pocketbooks and are going to continue to do so, especially if the administration continues to move forward with things like tariffs, right? I mean, that's going to certainly raise prices for ordinary folks.
Yeah, we should not do tariffs. I think Donald Trump is wielding tariffs as a diplomatic and political tool, not trying to implement them as an affirmative good for our economy or for our industries, because they are not an affirmative good. I agree with you.
We've talked about it before. They ought to be used in a strategic way.
Yes, we should aspire not to have them at all, because they will make things more expensive, and we don't want to make things more expensive. That was the number one concern of voters. The number one reason Trump has been returned to the White House is because the price of everything was too high. And I do hope that him and Elon and other top decision makers keep that in mind and take that concern seriously. Or yes, you're right, they will be out of power very swiftly if they don't listen to that. Up next, the president's take on Russia and Ukraine. We'll discuss. Stay with us.